We get to sit down with another legend today.
GOAT status.
I just want to read some accolades real quick before I introduce this person. Two-time NCAA champ at SC. Won the first 4 WNBA championships.
How many?
4 straight.
Okay, make sure.
Was the finals MVP of all 4 chips.
How many?
4.
Okay.
Yeah. 8-time overseas scoring champ. I mean, and that's just some of the accolades. Welcome to the show, the one and only, Miss Cynthia Cooper.
Cynthia Cooper didn't just hand Caitlin Clark her flowers. She rolled out a full-on red carpet, unleashed confetti cannons, and delivered a standing ovation broadcast live on national TV. It was graceful, heartfelt, and as rare as a WNBA highlight without controversy. Now, flip the script to Cheryl Swoopes, who showed up armed with a bouquet of passive-aggressive jabs and shade so thick it could blot out the sun. This wasn't your typical sports talk. It felt more like a high school reunion gone sideways, except the cafeteria was a press conference and the grudges stretched back decades. Cooper's tribute? Pure elegance? Swoopes? She just submitted her resume for the pettiest teammate of the century.
One word to describe Caitlin Clark.
Amazing.
Yes.
A beast. She is the truth.
Enter Cynthia Cooper, the Hall of Famer, the trailblazer, the unstoppable bucket who single-handedly pulled the early WNBA into the spotlight with nothing but pure grit and heart. When it came to the Caitlin Clark conversation, Cooper didn't just show up, she soared. Her praise was sharp, meaningful, and genuine, not some hollow, she's decent line. It was a true legend tipping her hat to the next rising star. Meanwhile, Swoopes sounds like she's swallowed a foghorn, blasting waves of negativity every time Caitlin's name lights up the headlines. If jealousy were a stat, Sheryl would be running the league with no competition.
It's amazing how different somebody like Cynthia Cooper is to Cheryl Swoopes. They played together, but the difference in the hateration, the pettiness, the jealousy that comes from one former player versus the other former player is stark.
Let's break down this drama, shall we? Cynthia Cooper watched Caitlin pull off those jaw-dropping moves, launching threes from the logo, dishing out assists that defy physics, and recognized pure brilliance when she saw it. She called it like a true legend. This girl's got it. Because honestly, she absolutely does. Clark's got the vision of Sue Bird, the range of Steph Curry, and the calm confidence of a veteran who's faced it all and still smiles. Cooper saw all that and declared, "This is exactly what the WNBA needs." Meanwhile, Swoopes is off somewhere furiously scribbling conspiracy theories on a whiteboard like she's trying out for the worst Netflix docuseries ever, Caitlin and the Case of the Inflated Stats.
You asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year, and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record?
Let's not forget Swoopes' laughable attempt to rewrite the record books. She claimed Clark wasn't the true NCAA scoring leader because of, brace yourself, an extra year Clark never even used. Yep, a completely fictional 5th year, folks. Meanwhile, Angel Reese could drop a stat line straight out of a blooper reel, 2 for 11 shooting, 6 turnovers, and a foul on every limb, and Swoopes would still gush like she just uncovered the next Diana Taurasi. It's less analysis and more fangirl fantasy, but only when Caitlin's not involved. If Clark drops 40 points, it's witchcraft. If Reese stumbles into a double-double, suddenly it's greatness redefined.
Caitlin Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Here we go.
I know you like that.
Hell yeah.
I said that because when she comes to the league, regardless of what team she goes to that has vets on that team, she probably ain't gonna get 40 shots a game.
And Cheryl's takes aren't just bad, they're deafening, obnoxiously loud. While the rest of us marvel at Clark's on-court wizardry, Swoopes is busy delivering keynote speeches at the Anti-Caitlyn Summit, treating recognition of true excellence like a betrayal to her era. It's as if she believes Caitlyn's rise is a personal attack, instead of what it really is, a win for the game.
3 WNBA MVPs in your career. Would you consider each of those 3 seasons as dominant seasons for yourself?
No.
I can't. Bro, Cheryl Swoopes is willing to lie about her own career before she even admits that Caitlyn is dominant.
Meanwhile, Angel Reese, Sheryl's so-called golden girl, just got bumped off her usual spot on the court. Why? Because the Chicago Sky actually want to score some points this season. Thanks, but no thanks. In college, Reese thrived on putbacks and rebounds. Now that she's in a league where you actually have to make layups and rotate on defense, let's just say the Sky's stat sheets aren't exactly breaking the internet. And speaking of breaking records, let's talk cold, hard numbers. Caitlyn Clark isn't just selling out arenas, she's outdrawing NBA teams in some cities. Reese, meanwhile, could throw in courtside seats with a surprise Drake cameo and still leave rows empty. Remember when she claimed she brought the eyeballs? Yeah, funny, because no one seems to be watching anymore.
And I mean, she's the truth, and she was a rookie, right?
Yeah.
Knock down the three-pointer, get to the rim. She can get to the free throw line. She's crafty.
Yeah, very crafty.
Crafty. So sometimes she look like she's coming off for a three-point shot, and she backdoors you for a layup. She gets her teammates involved. She can pass. She can shoot. Man, she is the complete basketball player.
And while Clark casually rewrites record books and handles interviews like a seasoned media pro, she's still treated like she's gate-crashing the league. It's wild. People act like her success is some kind of glitch in the Matrix. Meanwhile, the old guard clings to their fading influence like it's the last Gatorade sponsorship on Earth. Since when did celebrating a rising star become such a controversial act?
So we all know these WNBA veterans, for the most part, has not been very welcoming besides your Sue Birds, your Cheryl Millers, and a few others. But when it comes to Cheryl Swoopes and them, oh, they're some serial haters, bruh. Now, Lisa Leslie, she been all right, but she criticized the time too. But with all that being said, Cynthia Cooper made it her business to big up Caitlyn Clark.
So here comes Cynthia Cooper, injecting a much-needed dose of sanity into the chaos. She basically said, "Can we please stop acting like recognizing Caitlyn's greatness is a crime?" Just like that, she reminded everyone what a true legend looks like. Legends don't feel threatened. They get inspired. They pass the torch without torching the next generation. And while Cooper's out here raising the bar for class, Swoopes is still stuck sulking, like someone just snatched her last championship ring.
You know what I want to see? You know, so many people talked about Sabrina and Steph, you know, with that three-point shooting contest. You know what I want to see in the WNBA All-Star Game? I want to see Sabrina Ionescu shoot against Caitlyn Clark.
Yeah, me too.
I want to see that three-point shooting contest.
Yeah, facts.
That's dope. Hopefully it'll be there. It's in Indiana this year, right?
It's the same moment, seen through two very different lenses. Cooper looks at Caitlyn and thinks, wow, pure brilliance. Meanwhile, Swoopes squints, mutters something about cubic zirconia, and refuses to give a single clap. Girl, please. Caitlyn Clark isn't just playing well, she's transforming the league. She's landing deals, filling arenas, and getting kids to rock Fever jerseys like they're the new school uniform. If that's not changing the game, then what is? And still, every time her name comes up, it feels like we're stuck in a courtroom drama. Objection, Your Honor. She's just too good.
Woo! Man, I gotta tell you, that was close. I thought we were gonna get through a season without hearing anything stupid out of Cheryl Swoopes' mouth and anything that sounds rather interesting, something that you might choose to give some side eye to.
The Indiana Fever just dropped a league-shaking bombshell that sent shockwaves through the entire WNBA. In one bold stroke, they released not one, but two major rookie names from the team, igniting a frenzy across basketball circles. And as the dust barely began to settle, Cheryl Swoopes, longtime president of the Anti-Caitlyn Clark Coalition, re-emerged with the energy of a comeback tour. But this time around, her sights weren't locked solely on Caitlin Clark. She was coming for the entire Fever franchise.
And you have a black player that just got cut, and Sheryl Swoopes is not happy about that.
What began as a routine roster adjustment spiraled into full-fledged league drama, packed with tension and headlines that practically wrote themselves. Just when we assumed Swoopes had vanished into the void, she somehow pops back up out of nowhere. What's she saying now? And how is the Indiana Fever handling all this chaos? Drop your thoughts in the comments.
Call me nuts, but unfortunately for the old WNBA fandom and media, in her case, media and old players, unfortunately, in some cases, you do feel like there is something else lurking behind said opinions that may not be basketball related. Let's put it that way.
Let's kick things off with the roster cuts that turned heads. The Indiana Fever just made one of the boldest preseason decisions we've seen in years. Bree Hall, yes, that Bree Hall, the dynamic guard and two-time national champ from South Carolina, was cut before she could even hit the floor for real minutes. That's right, not 1 second of action in the opener against Washington. Barely any time against Brazil. And just like that, she was out. And if that felt like a shock to the system, brace yourself. Because the Fever weren't finished.
Bree Hall is now gone, as you know. And today it was announced that Yvonne Ejim has been waived by the Fever as well. Sophie Cunningham talked about that yesterday, saying you can latch on to another team, another place.
Just because you didn't make a roster doesn't mean you're out of the W forever.
Roughly 24 hours later, the team dropped another bomb. Yvonne Ejim, Gonzaga's scoring powerhouse and a player with enough heart to light up the entire Pacific Northwest, was cut too. 2 rookies, each with standout college careers and genuine upside, were shown the door before they even had a chance to settle in. Barely a warm-up, and they were out. Just like that. This is pro sports at its most ruthless. It's not always about talent. It's timing, system fit, and sometimes just cold roster math, where dreams collide with the business side of basketball.
So the Indiana Fever, as expected, have waived Yvonne Ejim. She's just not at the level that the Indiana Fever are hoping her to be at.
The Fever announced it directly. Thank you, Yvonne Ejim, who was the all-time leading scorer in Gonzaga history.
Naturally, the big question is, why these two? To grasp the sting, you have to look at the Fever's salary cap situation. Thanks to Katie Lou Sampson's oversized contract, which the Fever had to buy out in order to sign key vets, the team could only carry 11 players on the roster. Veterans like Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, Sydney Colson, Bree Turner, Sophie Cunningham, Damaris Dantas, and recently re-signed Kelsey Mitchell all have guaranteed contracts for at least a year. Cutting them wouldn't free up space. It would just leave their salaries on the books. The only contracts the team could actually shed were those of rookies still on their original deals, Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Lexi Hull. And no team in their right mind would cut that trio, which means 10 of 11 spots were already locked in.
Man, it's hard, right? We all reached out. I think that they brought really good people in, great people into training camp this year. But just because you didn't make this squad, this is probably one of the harder rosters to make in the W this year. It doesn't mean you're out of the W, and you just got to keep ready, keep playing, keep grinding it out. And if it's hard to make the league. I know Sid and I, we were second rounders. We stuck. Her experience is a little bit different than mine, but just because you didn't make a roster doesn't mean you're out of the W forever.
In truth, all 3 rookies, including Michaela Timpson, who's been flashing real potential in training camp and preseason, were battling for just one available spot. And odds are, that spot is going to Timpson. The Fever need young forwards in the mix, and her speed, floor running ability, and elite defense make her a perfect fit. Fans are already calling her the steal of the draft, snagged at 19th overall when many had her projected comfortably inside the top 10.
Michaela Timpson is obviously at a certain level. She's a rim runner. She just obviously has a higher ceiling than Ejim at the moment, and this is maybe a hot take.
For fans of Hall and Ejim, this one stings on a deeper level. It wasn't just about stats or performance, it was the unforgiving collision of salary constraints, tight roster limits, and the relentless push toward a championship window. These cuts hit hard because they weren't just about players. They were about potential, about belief. And in a blink, 2 promising dreams were put on pause.
After all, we saw Sheryl Swoopes in rare form, hating on Caitlin Clark all last year. Well, maybe she has figured out, well, hating on Clark, I've been told that's not really a great idea, yada, yada, yada. So what other white girls can I tune up from the Indiana Fever?
Unsurprisingly, the backlash came fast, and front and center with a megaphone was none other than Sheryl Swoopes. The second news broke about Bree Hall's cut, Swoopes lit up like she'd been waiting all offseason for a moment just like this. Her return wasn't subtle. It was a full-blown verbal takedown.
Okay, example. The Washington Mystics Indiana Fever game. Because I know on social media, people were like, well, why aren't the starters in for the Mystics? They could win this game. And I was there, right? Because preseason is about, yes, you're going to play your starters. You're going to play your players. Typically, they don't even play that many minutes, right? Because you have so many players on your roster that you got to make roster cuts. So you're still trying to figure out who can fit what we're doing.
On the latest episode of the Women's Hoop Show, Swoopes didn't just voice concern. She unleashed a one-woman verbal offensive, zeroing in on head coach Stephanie White. According to Swoopes, White didn't just mismanage the rotations, she outright sabotaged them. Her question was sharp. Why was Bree Hall glued to the bench while players with less upside were getting the spotlight?
But I did have a question, though, with Indiana, right? Because even though the starters weren't in, like Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull they've been in the league for a while. You actually had players who, like Bree Hall, why wasn't she in that game per se? If you're still trying to figure out who's going to make the team, who you're going to cut. So I was a little confused with what Steph was doing.
If you're still deciding who to cut, why wasn't Bree Hall even on the floor? She pressed. And if that jab wasn't sharp enough, the unspoken message rang even louder. This wasn't just about coaching strategy, it was about who gets grace, who's given a real shot, and who gets pushed aside before they've even had a chance. And if you thought Swoopes would stop there, not a chance. She cranked the pressure higher, zeroing in on the 2 players who did benefit from White's rotation decisions, Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hull. With pointed precision, Swoopes didn't just question their roles, she dissected them. And the way she framed it? Let's just say the message echoed loud and clear across every corner of WNBA Twitter.
Ariafin, okay. This is gonna be a spicy season, cause Kiki was like, what, Sophie? Girl, don't come over here. Sophie was like,
already,
I was
game
here
one.
Here for it. But the fact that's a rookie, right?
I know,
Kiki,
she did not back down.
But she just turned and laughed. She was like, what? What did you say? What are we doing?
And then came the line that made her angle crystal clear. With heavy sarcasm, Swoopes remarked that maybe it was time to start tuning up the other white girls on the Fever, now that she'd been told to lay off Clark. That wasn't subtle. That wasn't shade. That was a spotlight and a narrative bomb detonated right in the center of the conversation.
My goodness, I mean, we've had 2 preseason games. 2! And we're back to it. We're back here. She's criticizing Stephanie White. I bet Sheryl Swoopes hates that last name. Criticizing Stephanie White. And of course, it relates to Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham. Ooh, I bet Sheryl Swoopes hates her some Sophie Cunningham. You know she does.
Let's not forget, this isn't Swoopes' first anti-Clark rodeo. Long before Caitlin Clark ever suited up in a WNBA jersey, Swoopes was already raising eyebrows. She was one of the earliest, loudest voices to question nearly every facet of Clark's game. The records? Overhyped. The style? Too flashy. The swagger? Not earned. The leadership? Dubious. The age? The attitude? The media attention? Swoopes scrutinized it all. Practically everything short of Clark's shoe size. She made it clear from the jump, that she wasn't buying the hype. And now that Clark isn't just a top draft pick, but the face of the Indiana Fever and a global fan favorite, Swoopes hasn't exactly softened her stance. On the contrary, she's expanded the battlefield. It's no longer just about Clark. Swoopes has shifted her focus to the entire perimeter, calling out the system that elevated Clark and questioning the structure that surrounds her. From coaching decisions to roster selections, she's aiming broader, louder, and sharper than ever before.
What it do, peeps? Sheryl Swoopes is been missing. Sheryl Swoopes is MIA. They got a APB out for Sheryl Swoopes. If you see Sheryl Swoopes, she did a lot of talking a few months ago about the Indiana Fever, the locker room environment, how people didn't want to play there, how people wanted to leave.
Sheryl Swoopes really missed the mark this time. With a bold stance and a voice full of certainty, she boldly claimed that Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were doomed to fail in attracting top-tier free agents. But fast forward, and the Fever just pulled off one of the most impressive free agency hauls the league has ever seen. As for Sheryl, well, she's now the human equivalent of a malfunctioning Magic 8 ball, constantly wrong every step of the way.
People in the Fever were like, y'all.
That's not my point. There's a lot of other shit going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some new shit's going
it's
on around there.
It's a lot. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I don't
want to be here.
This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
Let's hit rewind for a second. Sheryl Swoopes, Hall of Famer, basketball icon, no doubt. But these days, she's clocking in full-time as a professional skeptic, putting in some serious overtime. With all her experience, she boldly declared that the Fever would never land elite players because of supposed locker room drama. And yet, here we are, contracts signed, deals sealed, and Indiana just built a powerhouse. Meanwhile, Cheryl's left watching from the sidelines, looking a little foolish, probably brainstorming her next questionable hot take.
Stephanie White came in and said, okay, hold up. Let me go to Indeed.com and Indeed get some free agents to come in here that want to play, that are accomplished, seasoned veterans. She did all that. Cheryl's been nowhere to be found. Sheryl got a lot of crow to eat, folks. Sheryl could be choking on crow right now. She need that Heimlich maneuver. If you see Sheryl Swoopes, tell her it's okay to come out and talk and say, man, you was wrong. It's okay.
I can picture Sheryl scrolling through her phone like, no way these players picked Indiana. But surprise, Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, Sophie Cunningham, and even Asia Wilson's best friend, Sydney Colson, are all in the Fever. They didn't just win free agency, they absolutely cooked it. And when Colson was asked why she signed with Indiana, let's roll the footage.
Yeah, I talked to Sydney Colson today about her signing with Indiana. She said that Kelsey Mitchell was actually the first person she hit up because they built a bond here, playing AU for the last 3 years. She said she heard some good things about Caitlin Clark from her Aces teammate Kate Martin as well, so that made the decision easy.
Exactly. She was drawn to playing alongside Kelsey Mitchell, a longtime friend, and the rising star, Caitlin Clark. These were the very two players Sheryl Swoopes wrote off just months ago. And here's the kicker. This is the same Sheryl who said Caitlin Clark would need years to get used to the WNBA. Years? Seriously? Clark's out here casually dropping 40 points like it's nothing, while Swoopes' predictions are aging about as well as spoiled milk.
3 WNBA MVPs in your career. Would you consider each of those 3 seasons as dominant seasons for yourself?
No.
I can't. Bro, Sheryl Swoopes is willing to lie about her own career before she even admits that Caitlin is dominant.
At this point, it feels like hating on Caitlin Clark has become Sheryl Swoopes' personal Olympic event, and she's snagging gold. Actually, she's probably sweeping the entire podium, gold, silver, and bronze, looking all kinds of salty while the anthem plays. Oh, Caitlin won't make the leap to the WNBA. Well, someone should let Indiana know Because they're out here stacking elite talent like they're building an all-star team. Caitlin Clark isn't just finding her footing, she's dominating, and the Fever are right there with her. Maybe it's time for Sheryl Swoopes to take a back seat, because Indiana just gave her a reality check.
No, but players who will be free agents next year. There's a lot of other shit going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Let's not fool ourselves. The real reason some of these WNBA vets and self-proclaimed legends can't stand Caitlin Clark is because she didn't play by their rules. She didn't wait her turn or ask for permission to stand out. Nah, she waltzed in, shattered 62 records in her rookie season, embraced the fans, and took the sport to new global heights. And, oh, does that sting for them? You bet it does.
The Indiana Fever are that golden destination, and I can't help but laugh to the fans and the people online and the media commentators, unfortunately, who said that nobody wanted to play in Indiana. That doesn't make any sense.
Caitlin Clark didn't need anyone's approval to claim her spot as the face of women's basketball. She's got more global recognition than half the league combined, and that's not by accident. That's the power of being a generational talent. Sheryl Swoopes, Angel Reese, Aja Wilson, and the rest of the Caitlin haters are just going to have to live with it. While they're busy throwing shade, Caitlin is out here racking up accolades, selling out arenas, and making the Indiana Fever the hottest ticket in town. And let's take a moment to appreciate this. The Indiana Fever, the team once overlooked by everyone, are now the center of the basketball world. The former league underdog is now the squad every player wants to join. Now that's what you call shifting the entire landscape.
You know, a lot of people say that Caitlin Clark moves the needle. That is wrong. She is the needle. She dictates. We all know what she's done on the floor. It's history, right? But off the floor, my goodness.
So, Sheryl, what happened to that claim about players not wanting to go to Indiana? Who exactly were you talking to? The ghosts of teams long gone? Because real, relevant players are lining up to join the Fever like it's the VIP section of an exclusive club. Did she honestly think Caitlin Clark would have to beg anyone to team up with her? Let's be real here.
Went even further when a game that Sheryl Swoopes was calling for the Dallas Wings, where the commentator was talking about how great Caitlin Clark had been playing. Sheryl Swoopes, silent for 60 seconds, didn't even want to address it. And it got so bad that the game that Dallas then went to play against the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark after the domination of the Chicago Sky, Sheryl Swoopes got pulled from the broadcast.
Someone better check on Sheryl because she's clearly stuck in 2002 when the Fever were stumbling through mediocrity like it was some kind of team-building drill. Sis, things have shifted. This isn't Tamika Catchings trying to lift a squad of part-time gym teachers. The Indiana Fever are stacked now. Natasha Howard, a champion, defensive powerhouse, and certified scorer. Here's what she had to say when she signed on with the team.
It's going to be Caitlin Clark Flash Show. So it's going to be phenomenal playing with a point guard, like you said, that have a good vision on the court. Because that's like as soon as she gets the ball in her hand, she's throwing it up because she already see the person down the court before she even get the ball in her hand. So that's one thing I love about her vision on the court. I really can't wait to catch all those passes and give her all the assists that she needs.
DeWanna Bonner, standing tall at 6 feet 4 inches, a walking mismatch, an elite scorer, and a key player in the WNBA's top tier. And guess what? She just fired back at all the Fever doubters on Twitter. Then there's Sophie Cunningham, bringing the heat, the confidence, and enough smack talk to shake any arena. So, who did she want to team up with?
Why does everybody hate Caitlin Clark? And do you hate Caitlin Clark? Come on, talk
dude.
to me.
Absolutely not. I think that she's a gem. I've never really
I didn't know her, but All-Star Weekend, we kind of bantered back and forth a little bit. And she's lovely. She has a lot of pressure on her shoulders. And I think a lot of people always have a lot to say with people they don't even know or shoes they've never been in. And for me, I think she's handling the pressure very well. She's doing a lot of great things for women's basketball. And I'm a fan. Like, I would love to play with her one day, for real.
And Sydney Colson, whether she's logging major minutes or not, is about to transform the Fever locker room into the most fun, high-energy space the team has ever seen. The chemistry? Off the charts. Do we sense a trend here? They all chose Indiana. They all decided to play with the core group of Caitlin, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexi Hull. So while Sheryl Swoopes is busy crafting her next misguided hot take, the Fever are out here building a dynasty. Maybe it's time someone hands Sheryl a pair of glasses because she might be talking about the wrong team. Could she be referring to the Las Vegas Aces, the Chicago Sky, or the Connecticut Sun, all of which seem to be falling apart? The Fever are here, and they're not just showing up, they're taking over.
You know that I'm very excited, and I really agree with a lot of the moves the Indiana Fever have made. There's not been one trade or pickup that the Indiana Fever have made that I have not been on board with. I'm on board with every single one. And I just want to say the fact that the Indiana Fever have gone out and got these great players like a Natasha Howard, like a DeWanna Bonner, like a Sophie Cunningham, the fact that they've gone out and got these great players shows that they believe Caitlin Clark is great right now. They are on board with the Caitlin Clark vision, and it just makes me happy, because they're not treating Caitlin Clark like a rookie who is gonna be good in 10 years. No, they're treating her like a superstar who is good right now.
Sheryl Swoopes really thought she was dropping some major insights on the Gills Arena podcast. She hopped on the mic like she was about to spill top secret info, but all she ended up revealing was just how much her credibility has taken a hit. At this point, are we even shocked? Sheryl's out here throwing out hot takes like it's her side hustle, and if there were a Hall of Fame for terrible opinions, she'd be a first ballot, unanimous pick.
With that being said, you big dummies, you getting paid now.
Right.
Everybody now has an opportunity to pull up their chair and have a seat.
For the past year, we've seen Sheryl Swoopes relentlessly target Caitlin Clark with outlandish accusations, claiming she's a 25-year-old competing against teens, saying her rookie season lacks merit, insisting that no one wants to team up with her. The barrage of criticism felt never-ending.
Some of your peers, they will recognize, her game, but they won't recognize her impact.
Right.
How can you separate the two? It's kind of
hard,
right?
And I used, and Jax, you're absolutely right. And I was like, come on, you big dummies.
Then Cheryl Miller stepped up. The basketball legend and former Clark coach threw a knockout punch on the All the Smoke podcast, calling Swoopes a big dummy and shredding her false claims. Miller put Swoopes in check, and her defense of Caitlin Clark hints at something huge for the Indiana Fever, leaving fans buzzing.
3-time Player of the Year, 2-time National Championship, 2-time Tournament MVP, first woman to dunk in an organized game, gold medalist. Thank you for making time. Welcome to the show, Cheryl Miller.
Before we dive into Miller's take, ever wondered why a basketball legend is so focused on tearing down the WNBA's brightest new star? Let's unpack the bizarre crusade Sheryl Swoopes has waged against Caitlin Clark, from her college days to her rookie season.
Let's also talk about how much more experience that gives you over other players coming in, right? So people say, dang, like he or she's killing them, but you have a 25-year-old playing against a 20-year-old.
It all started with Swoopes' wild claim that Clark was a 25-year-old playing against 20-year-olds at Iowa. In reality, Clark was 22, a typical college senior. When called out, Swoopes backpedaled, blaming COVID eligibility rules, an excuse that didn't stick.
Caitlin Clark right now probably takes about 40 shots a game.
Here we go.
I know you like that.
Hell yeah.
I said that because when she comes to the league, regardless of what team she goes to that has vets on that team, she probably ain't gonna get 40 shots a game.
Swoopes wasn't done. She claimed Clark took 40 shots a game, labeling her a selfish shooter. The truth? Clark averaged 22.7. Ironically, Swoopes averaged 19.2 in her senior year. When Clark neared the NCAA scoring record, Swoopes shifted, questioning its legitimacy and suggesting Clark needed a 5th year to break it.
You asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year, and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record?
Swoopes' claim was false. Clark shattered the NCAA record in 4 years, not 5. She could have taken a 5th year due to COVID rules, but chose not to. When Clark entered the WNBA, Swoopes predicted she wouldn't dominate. Yet, Clark went on to break rookie assist records, averaging 19.2 points and 8.4 assists, winning Rookie of the Year and silencing the doubters.
Didn't say she wouldn't be good. What I said was I didn't think Caitlin or Angel would come into the league and dominate immediately, which I don't think either of them did.
Respectfully, there is absolutely no way, even when we're trying to sit here and play semantics about dominating, there's no way that anyone could ever leave this season in saying that both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese didn't dominate. You would have to further explain what dominance means for you to not sit here and say that a player who is leading the league in assists while averaging 19 to 20 points didn't dominate that season.
Perhaps the most telling moment came when Swoopes appeared on Angel Reese's podcast, continuing to undermine Clark while claiming she didn't dislike her. A classic case of saying one thing and doing another. The basketball world took notice, and soon Swoopes was removed from broadcasting a Fever game, replaced by Nancy Lieberman. Lieberman didn't hesitate to call out the misinformation being spread about the rookie sensation.
I've known Sheryl since she was in college. I helped do her shoe deal with Nike in 1993, took her to her first SBs. I've known Sheryl, I've coached her, have a lot of respect for her. I called her when Caitlin was still playing at Iowa and she had just broken Maravich's record. And it was all over the place, as you and I have discussed, that, there was this quote by Sheryl that said, Caitlin was, 25 years old. She was, 24 years old. She was a 5th-year senior. Right. She was taking 40 shots a game. Her records were illegitimate.
The basketball world waited for someone credible to step in, and Cheryl Miller delivered. On the All the Smoke podcast, she lit up the critics, offering one of the most authentic defenses women's basketball has seen.
I got off the treadmill and I called her as a friend and I said, you can say whatever you want. You can have your own opinion about anybody, but you do have to get the statistics right. I mean, facts matter. And if you just get ahead of this and just say, hey, I made a mistake on my numbers, then this thing is over and everybody respects you for your opinion. And, you might like Boston, I might like the Yankees. It's okay to have difference of opinions. Well, she got upset with me on the phone and I was like, Sheryl, I'm not doing anything to hurt you. I'm just sharing. We're talking. And so our relationship it pretty much is not happening at this point. I tried to talk to her at the Final Four. Right. She didn't want to talk to me. My life's going to be good or great with or without Sheryl Swoopes in my life.
Miller didn't just support Clark. She came with fire. Her now viral, "Come on, you big dummies," directed at critics like Swoopes, said it all. But she wasn't done. Miller passionately defended Clark's work ethic, calling out the hypocrisy with the authority of a basketball legend. She pointed out what the haters conveniently ignore.
Jax, you're absolutely right. And I was like, come on, you big dummies. Is she getting hyped? Yes. Yeah. But she was in the backyard. She was putting in the same time, sometimes maybe more than you were.
Right.
I can't fault her for what she was given.
It's the uncomfortable truth critics won't admit. Clark's presence has elevated the entire league, even the paychecks of those criticizing her.
Look, as much as she was given, you can't tell me if that door would have swung the other way where she didn't live up to the hype.
Right.
Come on, folks are still waiting for her to fall.
Exactly.
Come on.
Yep.
So, with that being said, you big dummies, you getting paid now.
What makes Miller's defense so powerful is that it's based on direct experience, not speculation. After coaching Clark in the 2024 WNBA All-Star Game, Miller had a front-row seat to evaluate Clark beyond the highlight reels, and what she discovered even surprised her.
You recently coached the WNBA All-Star Game. You spent some time with Caitlin Clark.
Best coaching job ever.
Best coaching job
Best
ever.
coaching job ever.
Being around Caitlin Clark, how was the experience for her? She's such a big star. I mean, the sky's the limit for her. To be around her, just talk about the type of person she is and how much she loves the game.
I'm going to be honest because it needs to be said. I can relate to that young lady, and I felt for her.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it's like to be hated. I know what it's like to be a Black woman and hated because of my color.
Yeah.
I was pleased and proud to see the narrative wasn't true, Miller said, dismantling months of media spin in a single sentence. She then went deeper, offering rare insight into what makes Clark truly special.
I can't imagine this young lady, I don't want to use hate, but despised.
Mm-hmm.
And people just having, she brought some on herself a little bit because she's cocky for a good reason.
Mm-hmm. Confident.
And I love that about her. But to watch the dynamics and the media, they had their narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pleased and proud to see the narrative wasn't the truth.
Behind Miller's technical breakdown of Clark's skills is something deeper, a genuine emotional bond forged through Clark's toughest moments. When the Fever secured their first win of the 2024 season, Miller didn't just congratulate Clark. She gave her the unconditional support that few others did when the rookie needed it most.
Watching her pass, and I didn't know how talented she was and how well she sees the game in a 3D version, thinker.
Mm-hmm.
Defensively, a lot better than I thought and gave her credit for. So watching her and just spending a little time. And one thing, guys, that I've learned is to step back and let these kids be themselves.
The embrace between Miller and Clark after Indiana's first win wasn't just casual, it was a pivotal moment. Clark, battered by criticism, felt isolated. Miller recalled, "I gave her the biggest hug. When she saw me, she said, 'Finally, somebody on my side.' She was getting hit from all sides."
She was getting hit with everything left and right, and I just said, I hugged her, I said, "I'm so proud of you." I go, savor this, use this as a formula. I said, but keep being you. I said, no matter what, keep being you.
In that raw, vulnerable moment, Miller didn't offer empty words. She gave Clark the kind of guidance only someone who's walked a similar path could provide. "I'm so proud of you. Savor this. Use this as a formula, but keep being you. No matter what, keep being you." These weren't just comforting words. They were a lifeline to a rookie drowning in expectations and scrutiny.
Loyola University basketball coach Cheryl Swoopes, she's under investigation, accused of mistreating players. One of them is speaking out this morning, telling us why she wanted to transfer. ABC's Lindsay Davis is here with the details. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, Lara. Cheryl Swoopes was the first woman to ever sign with the WNBA. But this morning, the college coach is not only under fire, but under investigation after reports that the majority of her roster has decided to leave.
They fired her. They didn't just replace Cheryl Swoopes, they booted her out. And why? Because of Caitlin Clark.
There's a lot of other going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some new shit
it's
going
a
on
lot.
around there.
It's a lot. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I don't
want to be here.
This is where I want to be.
Yeah, Melissa.
Months ago, Swoopes sat on her high horse predicting disaster for the Indiana Fever. She, Miss Caitlin Clark, boldly claimed no one would want to play in Indiana and confidently declared that top-tier talent would never sign there.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. As always, appreciate your support. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19. Let's go. So I wanted to do a little bit of a dive into the Fever roster, what that looks like. Now that we've gotten through the bulk of the free agency offseason, we've seen a lot of changes.
Fast forward to today, And the Fever just made the most game-changing free agency move in WNBA history.
The way they came back the second game, it just makes you excited to, okay, I want to be a part of that. They didn't lay down and quit. They came back and actually try to beat us early, that next game. So.
Superstar signings, game changers, and swoops.
So y'all can record this, you cannot record it, but the biggest thing I want everybody to hear me say right now.
She's been strangely silent. Ever seen someone talk a big game, then disappear? That's exactly what's going down right now. Indiana just dropped a statement that's sending ripples through the entire league, and we're here to dissect every bit of it.
All right, Hoop Queens, gather around because we've got some major tea brewing in the WNBA. Indiana Fever just landed Brianna Turner in free agency. Brianna Turner, let that sink in.
Before we dive into the good stuff, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Keep up with all the latest WNBA news, expert analysis, and the drama you won't get anywhere else. Now, let's get into it.
But I think you're starting to get a little bit more shine from maybe the casual fan and maybe some folks who maybe didn't know or haven't seen Indiana as much as they've seen this year.
I agree.
So what's that part like, getting that little bit more attention and getting a little bit more shine and getting the recognition that...
The Indiana Fever just shook up free agency like never before. They didn't just add players, they built a juggernaut. You know that feeling when you go all out in franchise mode on a video game? Well, that's exactly what Indiana just did. They went all in, loading up their roster with seasoned champions, fierce competitors, and players who've got both game and attitude. This wasn't just another offseason, it was a full-on power play.
Yes. Wait. Yep. You look good on me, huh? Look good. Like a whole 360. Like, I think I was talking to my wife about it. I'm like, man, what if I go back to Indiana where I started? That'd be crazy. Look where I'm at.
First up, they snagged Natasha Howard, a 3-time WNBA champion and one of the fiercest defensive forces around. Howard doesn't just defend, she shuts players down. Her ability to lock down anyone, protect the rim, and control the boards takes Indiana's defense to a whole new level.
Going for your services, Dawana, so why was this the right opportunity for you?
I just feel like it was the location for one. My kids are literally right up the road, and I've spent a lot of time away from them, so that and the core that they have here now is just kind of want to fit in, and be another piece of the puzzle, and hopefully bring the energy dynamic and take us to a different level in the playoffs.
Next up, they brought in Dawana Bonner, a scoring powerhouse who's a nightmare for any defender. Bonner adds leadership, championship pedigree, and that clutch gene that turns the Fever into a serious playoff contender.
In Sophie Cunningham, the Indiana Fever are trading for a multi-dimensional wing, capable of knocking down the 3-ball.
Cunningham is starting to cook. Cunningham 3 is good. Cunningham from the corner.
Locking down defenders.
Several deflections, and this time she gets the steal and the N1 opportunity.
And they weren't finished yet. Enter Sophie Cunningham, a walking spark plug, bold, trash-talking, and always ready to ignite her team and the crowd. She thrives in clutch moments, playing with a chip on her shoulder, exactly the kind of energy Indiana was craving. And to cap it all off, they added Sydney Colson, a seasoned vet with championship DNA, the kind of player who holds it all together behind the scenes. Colson's leadership in the locker room will be just as vital as what she brings on the court. This isn't just a team full of talent, it's a roadmap to success. The Fever didn't sit around waiting for greatness. They went out and created it.
And that's where you brought up the Fever. I think what I've learned in my WNBA experience is pace of play trumps physicality, it trumps size, it can trump experience, because a lot of times when you're experienced, it's really like code word for your veteran, which is code word for your old. Slow the pace. Yeah. So I feel like I know that's why you guys were so good for those in years. 2018 and 2020, the years we won, that was our whole mantra, was pace, 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 pace. And what I see in Caitlin.
For months, the media pushed the same old story. Nobody wants to play for Indiana. The franchise was labeled a dead zone, a place elite players wouldn't even think about. Analysts wrote off the Fever, critics laughed off any chance of big signings, and Sheryl Swoopes all but mocked the idea of Indiana drawing in top-tier free agents. To most, the Fever were just another struggling team with no real appeal in the league.
Her face, unable to hit. Bree Jones, another O board for Connecticut. Better look for Mabry. Off the mark.
But here we are now. Indiana didn't just sign free agents, they snagged some of the top talent out there. The same team everyone claimed couldn't draw stars just assembled one of the most lethal rosters in the WNBA. Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson. These aren't just bodies filling spots. These are game changers, battle-tested vets, players who could have signed anywhere but chose Indiana. That alone smashes the false narrative about the Fever being a dead-end destination. Now, the same analysts who wrote them off are scrambling. That nobody wants to play there, gone like expired milk. The entire perception of the Fever flipped overnight, and it all boils down to one undeniable truth. They built a culture players want to be part of. With Caitlin Clark in the mix, a front office making bold moves, and a roster that's suddenly one of the league's best, Indiana isn't just back, they're a problem.
Oh, it's a triple-double for Caitlin. What a reaction by Kelsey.
Well, how about the knowledgeable fans in this building? They burst out of their seats like it was a game winner.
Let's cut to the chase. This is the Caitlin Clark effect. Plain and simple. Caitlin Clark isn't just any rookie trying to find her footing in the league. She's a franchise-changing force. The kind of player who doesn't just lift her team, but redefines the entire WNBA landscape. The Indiana Fever, a team that's been stuck in the mud for years, is suddenly the most talked about squad in the league, and that's no fluke. Clark's arrival has turned this franchise into a destination, one that's not only worth watching, but one that top players actually want to join.
So when you talk about the young girls that came in, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, rookie class, really hyping up the league coming from college to the WNBA, what has that done for you and the buzz of this entire league?
I think it's so positive. I really do. I think it's a fun time to be a part of the W. I truly believe that. I think the skill and the talent has always been there, but now it's just the viewership. And so I give a big old clap to the rookie class. I think that's a lot to deal with when you're at that age and you have that many eyes on you. But I think they've done a great job in the league as well. I think the physicality and all that they're going to get used to, but I think especially Caitlin Clark, she's been killing it.
When Sophie Cunningham signed with Indiana, she didn't sugarcoat it. Caitlin Clark was a factor. Players aren't just hearing about Clark's insane shooting range or flashy assists. They're hearing about her leadership, her competitive edge, and her ability to elevate those around her. That's the kind of player you want to play with. She's a magnet, drawing both talent and attention to a team that used to be flying under the radar.
I'm going to use her word. I want to see her continue to be a dog, because she is a dog. Here's what I'll say about Angel. I love the fact that she's just her, right? And she says she's unapologetically Angel. She plays hard, both ends of the floor. It doesn't matter what the score is. The thing that I think people question wasn't so much about her game or her rebounding, but it was the scoring. And the fact that she is either averaging or almost averaging a double-double is pretty impressive to do from anybody, but in particular a rookie. I just love how she's come into this league. She's embraced the bumps, the bruises. She's embraced the good with the bad. And I love watching her play because she plays hard the entire game.
Let's talk about Sheryl Swoopes. She thought Clark was overhyped. just another college standout who'd take years to make her mark in the pros. But the truth? Clark is already leading the league in assists, dropping 40-point games like it's no big deal, and flipping the power dynamics in the WNBA. Indiana isn't just improving, they're becoming a serious threat, and Clark's the one making it happen.
Pin down here, wide open.
Caitlin Clark's impact goes way beyond what's happening on the court. Yeah, she's lighting up defenses and setting records, but what's unfolding off the floor is just as game-changing. She's driving record ticket sales, smashing TV viewership numbers, and getting people to care about the WNBA like never before. Every Fever game feels like an event, and any matchup with Clark, must-watch TV. This isn't just a rising star. This is a movement.
Swoopes has it, turns in the air for the game.
Before becoming one of the most electrifying players in WNBA history, Cheryl Swoopes was a sensation on the college stage, leading Texas Tech to the 1993 NCAA title with a record-setting 47-point performance in the championship game.
Cheryl Swoopes didn't see this coming. She thought Clark would have to earn her place, struggle, and prove herself over time. Instead, Clark stepped into the league and immediately took it by storm. Now, she's the main reason why the Indiana Fever has become the go-to spot for top-tier talent. Players want to team up with her, coaches want to build around her, and fans can't get enough. The old guard of the WNBA wasn't ready for this, but now they've got no choice but to accept it. For years, the WNBA waited for a player who could change the game, someone who could bring mainstream attention, pack arenas, and spark a real shift in the sport. The truth? That player's already here. Caitlin Clark isn't waiting her turn. She's rewriting the rules in real time,